Alright guys, let's get right into this today. Let's go ahead and open up some of my caricature work here, and I'm going to show you some samples. Now these are a little bit more of my refined, but I want you to focus on the eyes and notice how each eye shape, there's a different approach to each one. This is of course Jeff Bridges, and how I did a little squinty eyes with him, and this is one of the Kim Kardashian, I believe. Toby Jones, I believe. Jennifer Aniston. She there again. She had those squinty eyes. Keith Sutherland, Gwyneth Paltrow. All right. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys just a couple samples, and notice how different each eye is for each person. Different shapes, and sometimes even a similar eye shape for a different face will present itself very differently depending on how it sits. Kirk Douglas, Zoe Kravitz, Iglesias, Paul McCartney's daughter. You can definitely see that Paul McCartney's eyes there. Of course, Chris Pine, those big thick eyebrows and those lazy I call them doe eyes. Francis Ford Coppola's daughter. I forget his name, last name's Ferrer, but definitely he has those eyes that kind of do this. You see how they do this number, especially that one. Juliette Lewis, Josh Brolin, Kelly Osbourne. Anyway, you get the point. So anyway, showing you that, I want to show you some of my live in chair samples, and I want to focus on showing you guys the differences in the eyes. Now see, now these here were drawn a lot quicker, obviously, but let me go ahead and pull up this as well. Where's it at? There it is. So observation, speed, and accuracy are always the three things that I'll focus on when I'm doing a caricature live. Observation, obviously, and that's going to be true of any feature you're drawing. Observation is your #1 goal always. Let me find another one. I think I got really good. Okay, his eyes is close. I can't really tell her. This guy here, you know, he had those almost like his upper eyelid almost drooped down in a downward motion like that. So, but looking at those things like that, let me go to another one. And some of them are better than others. Obviously, when you're drawing live, you're not going to be as accurate as you are when you're going to be in the studio. But still, at the same time, you want to try to get somewhat of an accuracy with it. And Mr. Bledsoe he just basically had slits for eyes, so that's what I drew. The biggest thing with drawing eyes, or there again with any feature, is draw what's in front of you. Don't try to change them or fix them, and that's all back to observation. This one I got really good. She had some really thick upper eyelids, and I exaggerated that really well. So there's that. So you got observation, you got your speed. Now, when you're talking about speed, I throttle speed and accuracy kind of go hand in hand, because there again, like the reason I wanted to show you the difference between live and studio is with those two things. Obviously, you're drawing fast, so you're going to try to go quick, but you want to throttle that speed and balance that with accuracy. For example, you don't want to draw the eyes so fast that everybody ends up having the same eyes. That's where you temper those two things to make them work together. Let me show you a couple more samples. This was from last year, but these were up in. See, and I do these eyes, as with every line in a live caricature like this, with as few lines as possible. I don't get super crazy with detail. It's all about popping it out quick. Obviously in the studio pieces they get a little more detailed. So anyway, we're going to pull up a couple faces here, and I'm just going to draw a couple for you. And for the sake of teaching, I'm going to do them on the iPad instead of drawing them on paper. Here is the eyes that I drew for the demo for the actual advertisement I did for these, and these had a little bit more detail into them. I just wanted to let you guys take a peek at the different shapes of those, how different each eye is. Obviously male and female are different, but this was of course an Asian eye, this was a young child versus an older gentleman, and vice versa. There again, going back to that key of observation is your number one. That's the one thing, if you watch any of my videos, I'm going to harp on every video, is observation is your number one. I believe in drawing a good likeness first and worrying about doing a caricature second. That's what I've always done, and it's always been successful for me. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to draw like me. Everyone's obviously going to have their own style, and I would never, try to say that the way I do it is the only way, but it is, I think it works well. All right, so let's pull up some reference pictures here. Let's pull up a good face here. There again, I'm just gonna. Now, the other thing, keep in mind, now, what I'm gonna be doing here today, I'm just looking at the eyes, but if I was, whenever you work that into the whole face, you'll have to, it's a little bit more of a challenge. It's very easy to sit there and draw one feature as opposed to working on all of the features. It does change a little bit. So for starting off, we're going to start off with this young lady right here. And now if I was, I am going to put in the shape of the face, because if I was drawing her live, I would obviously put the whole face in first, because I generally work like that. I'll do the outline first, and then I'll go in and do the features. So, but just for the sake of having something there as a placemat, we'll do that. So the top lid, I usually start with the upper lid of the eye, which is, well, you can't see it on there. Not the eyelid, but the actual top of the inlid, and then I would come back over on top and do the actual the lid of the eye, the crease, I guess you would say. And then she has not real wide eyes, she's kind of squinty eyed. She does have most people have bags under their eyes, but the trick with caricature is there again, deciding how much of that you want to show, because the general rule is the more lines you add to a sketch, the older someone looks. So one of the critiques sometimes, and you'll hear as an artist, is either someone will say it looks too young or it looks too old. And I have found in 26 years that I've been doing this, people will not get upset if you make them look a little bit too young. Now, I'm not saying you need to try there again, you don't need to try to fix people, but at the same time, I personally don't think you have to go out of your way to, destroy anybody either. But there again, that goes back to what type of art you want to do. I know some guys that do some really, really cool, really exaggerated caricatures, and when people sit down in their chair, they know what to expect, and they know that's what they're going to get, and people love it. And I love to exaggerate as well. There again, just depends on your audience. There's his eyebrows. And there again, I know this is a little more detailed than this would be live. But the same premise would stay, whether it's live or whether it's digital. You want it to be accuracy, speed, observation being the key one. All right, so anyway, there's a little quick version of her eyes. Not perfect, obviously. And then one of the neat things about digital is, like, if I have a little mistake here, like I didn't like that line right there, I can go in and delete that. Can't do that live, so like I want to bring that up a little bit. So anyway, let's get rid of that one and let's draw another one. Let's see. Now look at her eyes. I want you to notice something about her eyes. Her eyes are asymmetrical. See how this eye's a little droopier than this eye? Now this is another thing I've found. A lot of times when people have eyes like that, when you draw them, even though it is the accurate thing, it is the correct thing to do, especially if I'm doing a piece that someone's going to use for a website picture or something, almost every time they will go back and ask me to fix those things. And I absolutely hate doing it, but I do charge accordingly. So that's one time that I will fix something for somebody, is when I'm doing some stuff that corporations using for corporate. That's a totally different ball game, because you gotta, it's like, I think it becomes more of a product at that point. And I know some artists, and myself included, we really don't care for those requests as much, although I'll do them because they're obviously, it's making a living, as much as I like being able to use my creativity and really exaggerate a face. So there again, that's depends on you and your artistic endeavors and what you're willing and not willing to do artistically. Because on one hand it is a way to make a living, and on the other hand you are still an artist. And caricature is one of the most misunderstood art forms around, mainly for the fact that by default caricature has been around for a really long time, and caricature, and I mean hundreds of years, and caricature by default is grotesque and funny and making fun of someone. But then here we are drawing for, a soccer mom or a corporate client who does not want that. They want a nice, cute picture that they can put on their website, or in instance, hang in the kids' room. So what do you do? One of the oldest debates going on among caricaturists is do you do what they want, or do you do what you want? And sometimes that seems to be the case. All right, and there again with her eyes, see, now I'm doing what I'm doing here, so I'm capturing the differences in those eyes. But and there again, I know I'm not super accurate on these. I'm not intending to be. This is about speed, so. And hopefully you guys are getting something from watching me do these. And there's that one. All right, let's switch to another face. All right, here's some of those squinty eyes like I was talking about. Now he's got glasses too, so draw those glasses. I'm trying to draw as much as I can the way I would if I was actually drawing on paper, even though we are drawing digitally. I didn't draw an outline for him. I guess it'll be okay. again, he's not going to have a lot. See how that's basically just 2 lines there. And that's at, like I say, accuracy. You want to try to be as accurate as possible. I'm trying not to erase a lot, since I'm trying to teach you guys doing this quick with a marker. Although I'm working digitally, so I'll try not to fix my mistakes if I can. Because that's the thing with this, is when you're working on paper, very few things you have to start over. For the most part, you can pretty much fix anything, other than if you just totally screw up the face shape. Most anything you can get away with. And then there it is. See how quick that was. All right, let's move on to another one. Now he kind of has those eyelids. See what he's got going on there? All right, he's got some cool nice shapes going on. So that's the other thing with the eyes, or with any feature, is you're looking at how the shapes play upon each other. Now this guy here, this guy here has those nice round glasses. And then, like, if I wanted to exaggerate him a little, I'm going to kind of exaggerate this a little more, but see there? See what that does? So you get the roundness of the glasses, and then you get this kind of comes up and just kind of juts down thing going on with the eyes with him. And then on the bottom, there again, exaggerating and exemplification, you get that roundness. So you end up with this thing here. And then his eyes kind of sit, his pupils kind of sit. Now, like the one on the, I guess it would be my left. I don't know if it's left or right, but the one kind of sits up a little bit more than the other. But so you want to try to capture those things. And his eyebrows are kind of light and wispy, and kind of just does kind of come up and back. Eyebrows. I want to show you this. Most of the time, I can kind of about do this similar strokes on the eyebrows. That's a style thing. You will figure out your own way of doing it. But I try to follow the direction of the hairs as well, but also try to capture that shape. So, if that makes sense. And he has a pretty decent amount of bags under his eyes as well. Although, back to what I was saying about bags under the eyes and those lines and stuff, the question I always ask myself is it important to the likeness? If I don't think it's going to enhance the likeness, I won't worry too much about it. And he's got, see, I can't help it. Got a pretty cool little nose he's got going on there. Alright, so enough of that one. Keep moving. Let's see if we got. Alright, here we go. Now this guy here, he has kind of small eyes. He has kind of small, and let's see what we can do here. Sometimes you'll notice, well, actually most of the time you'll notice I'll throw in the bridge of the nose. I do that for space. That's the other observation you always want to make, is how close or how far apart are the eyes? How how do they sit? Do they sit perfectly horizontal, or do they have a tilt, downward or upwards? Are they far apart? All those things are important. And like I was saying earlier, you can have eyes that are very similar. Like, let's say a family member, like you know, father and son may have real similar eyes, and they look a lot alike. But then you look at those eyes on a different age of face, and you get to see things like that. And that's always a fun observation to make as well with families. Also, while I'm thinking about it, when you are at an event, now here's the thing. Now, when you're at some events, is going to give you better faces than others, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Let's say you're at a college event, and you're going to be getting a melting pot of different ethnicities. You're going to get different genders. You're going to get, you know, everything, glasses, short, tall, everything. When you're at an event like a family reunion, a lot of times, a lot of people, there'll be a lot of similarities in how people look because they're family. You'll still get some differences, but not as much variety as you're going to get at a college. College events are actually one of my favorite events, and that's one of the reasons why. It's because I really like I say, I get to see a lot of different faces. So there's his eyes. There again. That eye there could have been a little smaller, I think, but not bad, I don't think. All right. There again, I'm focusing on that observations first, and then speed and accuracy. Don't worry about it if it takes you 10 minutes to draw eyes at first. Now look at these eyes. Look at how her eyes are. Now, compared to her head, those eyes, I'm going to draw her head, but for this very reason. First thing I noticed about those eyes was they're close together. There again, it's hard to talk about one feature without talking about all the features, because there again, she has a larger nose. So her, in exaggerating her eyes feel very round and very close together to me. It's not always about exactly what's in front of you either. I mean, obviously, there again, observation is a key, but there again, when it comes to the exaggeration part, you have to, it's kind of an oxymoron in a way, because you want to keep structure and all that stuff in mind, but at the same time you can bend the rules as well. And it's weird. It's one of the funniest things I think about caricature. I tell people, you got to know all the rules of doing a portrait. So if you guys have ever done portraits, you know the rule of thirds. Everything is lines up, and there's one eye's distance in the middle, and all that. The basic portrait rules. I'm not going to go through those because I'm not teaching portraiture, I'm teaching caricature. But those rules are there, but they can be bent. I always would encourage you guys to look at different artists' work. Everybody has a little bit different way of doing it. There's going to be some similarities in what we all do as far as... Should we close this out? The memory gets full on this sometimes, and it gets wonky. So anyway, and then, like I say, with her, it would be that nose. Although with exaggeration, I probably would put that nose a little bit more up here, so I can exaggerate that mouth a little bit. But there again, the first thing I did was I observed those eyes, and I'm like, okay, what's different about this face from the last face? And you're going to keep doing that. With each face, you're going to say, what is it about, now check out her eyes, how different her eyes are from that last lady. Now hers does this number. Her eyes lift. So we're going to do that. We're going to draw, what's up, Chris? We're going to do that. Actually, let me do this. This might help you guys out a little bit as well. If you're doing this live, I do not recommend using a pencil. You want to be able to learn to do this. You want to learn to be able to, want to get my words right. You want to learn to do this without using a crutch such as a pencil. It will, because all it does is slow you down. But if you have time and you don't have, a line of 30 people behind you in an event, there's nothing wrong with doing a quick whoosh and then erasing it. But I didn't tell you that, because that was not what I was taught. I was taught, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so fast now, is because when I first started doing these at Carowinds, the first thing my boss man did was came around and broke everybody's pencil. And I thought he was the biggest butthole in the world for doing that, but now it's like I realized that was the greatest thing that could have ever happened, because it made me learn to do it quick, and if I screwed up, I could grab another piece of paper and start over. And we worked on commission too, so when you work on commission, money talks. You learn to get accurate real quick. So that's the other thing I was going to suggest, is anybody who's trying to learn to do this, you cannot beat real. I know I left those lines there, but that's okay. You cannot beat real world. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to flood fill that. You cannot beat real world experience with this. I can sit here and show you guys faces all day long, but until you put a pencil in your hand and you get out and do this, that's what's going to matter. I started out in an amusement park. I worked at one called Carowinds, and then my cousins, which is actually in my chat right now, we all started a business in, Carowinds, and then Cedar Point, and then we started a business in Myrtle Beach, and I stayed down there for about 10 years and did this on the boulevard and drawing for people, and made a pretty decent living at it. And then I kind of retired from that scene, which was retail, and now up until recent months I was able to do these at parties, but now that's been kind of shut down, so here we are. Alright, so anyway, there again, you see how those lines will lift. That's what the main thing I wanted to show you guys with that one. Alright, and let's do another one. Alright, so this guy's got some sleepy eyes. There again, see, don't be afraid to use those words. Obviously, you don't want to be insulting to anybody, but at the same time, a descriptor. And you can say this stuff in your head. You don't have to say it out loud. You can if it's, if it's okay. Like there again, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or anything. But like this guy here, he's got he's what I got almost kind of sleepy eyes, almost like he's ready for bed. But that's just his eyes. That's just the way his eyes look. So he's going to have a larger upper eyelid than, say, the last one, or the last couple I did. So there again, coming in, and then he's going to have that. That's another thing I want y'all to notice as well. Depending on what I'm doing, most of the time I don't finish this bottom line. There again, because I don't feel it's important. It doesn't do anything to enhance that eye. That again is a style preference. You may say, hey, you know what, I like doing, the whole eye finished. So not trying to say that that's my way's right and it's the only way, but that is one of the things that I've always done. And that kind of comes from back even when I was learning to do this, doing my observations, looking at Mad Magazine. If you look at some of Mort Drucker's work in Mad Magazine, the way he draws eyes is a lot of times there again, it's just that a lot of my influence came from that. As far as my quick sketch stuff is that that heavier upper line, maybe just a quick, depending on the eye, and then very very little on the bottom. Maybe some eyelashes if there's any, but the other observation with this guy is the thick eyebrows. He has almost like those Chris Pine eyebrows I was talking about earlier. And you notice how I kind of did a quick outline of those, and then I'll go in and fill those in. Nothing wrong with that. It works. There again, that's a style preference. That's a thing that I do. Some people will actually take the marker and just draw them in, you know, solid. Depends on how detailed or how simplified you want to get with your lines. So I'll show you real quick what I mean by that. I'll use the vector tool to do it for the sake of argument. Let's say I just wanted to do that. You know, if that's your style, that's your style. So you'll find what works for you. Okay, I say we'll do one more, and then guys, I'm gonna wrap this up for you guys. I think you guys have got a pretty good handle on what I'm showing, and I think I've shown it. There's another close together one, so I'm not gonna do him. Close together eyes, pretty decent size nose, and look at that chin. Observation, pretty big forehead. That guy's got a lot of character stuff going on. Smaller eyes, pretty big smile. She doesn't have a real big chin or anything. She has more of an oval face. Obviously, he's a bald guy. He's got you know, a little bit of a crooked smile there. As an older gentleman. I love capturing older people's faces. They have so much. It didn't freeze on me there. There we go. I've drawn this guy before in pencil. He's got a really good face too. Look at that space between the nose and the mouth. I know we're talking about eyes, but I can't. You have to talk about the features. She had here's an example. This is a good one. I want to show y'all this one. So here's an example where I would want to put the lines in her face because they're important. They're part of her character. There again, how much or how little you want to show of those depends on how much you want them to stand out. And then look at those eyes. He has a pretty intense look to his eyes as well. This guy has the two different eye thing going on. See how this eye kind of looks up a little bit, and this one's a little bit more straight on. You'll notice the more you observe eyes and more you observe faces, you'll capture that. You'll start capturing that stuff better. Let's see here. And yes, I do scour the internet, and I have friends and family in here as well. I keep a. Now here's a gentleman who's maybe Middle Eastern or Indian, and he has pretty cool eyes too. He has that. Not really. I'll draw his real quick. So now the thing I wanted you to notice about this one. Now this is not a straight on picture. This is a little bit more of a 3/4. So what do you do about that? Well, excuse me. You observe. And you draw what's there. So, and honestly, a lot of times, a 3/4 caricature a lot of times will capture a little bit better likeness of a person's face than a total straight frontal. I just feel like a lot of times you get a little bit better. See, I'm going to show his bags under his eyes, but there again, not going to, overdo it. And there again, I'll be able to cheat on this one again, so I'll be able to do the same thing I did on that other one where I filled in with the dark eyes. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying, y'all. I'm sorry. But basically, style-wise, you'll notice I'm pretty heavy on the top lines, and anything underneath the eyes, I'm a little more lenient. So there again, he has those. And if I was doing some color, you know what? I'm going to show y'all real quick on this one because this is a good face to do it on. Even if I wasn't doing a quote-unquote color picture, if I'm doing a black and white, a lot of times live, even when I work live, I'll use grays like I did on these. I did some grays, a little bit of gray marker on those to kind of show a little bit like on the eyes. Sometimes I'll use a color stick or something to add a little bit of just a little extra detail to eyes. You don't want to color everybody's eyes in pitch black unless they just have those really dark eyes. A lot of times I'll use some gray tones in there if I have time. There again, it's all about number two, speed. Depends on how busy the event is. If it's a if it's a slower event and I'm sitting there and I've got only a couple people standing around, so this is what I was going to show y'all. So there again, I'm doing it digitally on here for the sake of because we're doing it here. But like if I wanted like these eyes here, like I could come in with, imagine that's a color stick or something or a marker. And that, there again, if it enhances the likeness is how I make the decision if I do things like that. And generally, people, like I say, from Middle Eastern, they tend to have darker around the eye, so that it helps. To me, it helps enhance his likeness and show his uniqueness over a different ethnicity. But there again. Well, guys, I think we've covered pretty much everything I need to cover with eyes. Like there again, the biggest thing. Guess what I'm getting ready to say? It's observation. Observation, speed, and accuracy. I can't say it enough. It's about those three things. Every video I do, every video I talk about any type of art, it's gonna hinge on those three. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Y'all have a great week. And if you're watching this on my live Twitch stream, I'll be back again next week, Sunday, 5 p.m. And it's going to be a surprise. I don't know what I'm going to do from week to week. I know it won't be another teaching video, but it'll probably be drawing a caricature of somebody. Y'all have a good week. Thanks.